Hello, this is Dr. K, and in this series of videos, we are going to talk about how to do unit testing on the modified person class that we downloaded from the Java tutorial. And in a previous video, we modified that class so that it was effectively immutable, and also we overrode some of the object methods like equals to string, and we also made that class comparable. Okay, so now we're going to talk about how to test that class. All right, so here's my person project, and in my code window, I've got the person class, and you can see it implements comparable. And here is the test case, person-test.java. And for this test case, what I've done here is, this is similar to a previous test case in a previous video, but I've taken out everything that didn't compile. So what do I still have in here? I still have a person Fred, person Jane. Then I set up Fred and Jane. I test all the accessor methods: get name, get birthday, get gender, get email, and get age. And I've also got this dummy test for the enum class. Okay, if you look at a previous video, I talked about why enum classes are a problem in JUnit tests, and you have to essentially set up these dummy test cases that make sure value of and values from the enum classes are exercised, right, in order to get up to 100% code coverage. Okay, so let's go ahead and run this test case, and everything should pass. Just going to run that here. All right, wonderful. Everything passed. Now let's go ahead and invoke ECL Emma. So basically, we're looking at code coverage now. I'm going to launch that. All right, and if you look down here, you can see that we're only getting 43.4% code coverage. All right, so there's only one thing we're testing. We're not testing the test folder. We're just testing the SRC folder. So I'm going to double click on person.java since that's the class under test. And you can see what the code coverage looks like. The green highlighted means everything is covered. All right. The yellow highlights means something is partially covered. And this usually occurs when you have conditions, like here, if any are null. All right. And we see when we hover over this, we see that one of two branches are missed. So the branch here that is missed, there's two branches. There's a true branch and there's a false branch. So nothing is null here. We didn't test anything that's null. So any are null is always going to be false, okay, in our test so far. So the only things we tested are things where any are null returns false. And therefore, since any are null returns false, we don't get to this throw new null pointer exception statement. And that's why that is in red. Same thing for this any are valid here. And then look, this is a private method. Any are invalid, NER invalid. This is a private method, NER invalid. And we say that this is also always going to return false. Okay, but there are a bunch of conditions in here. All right, and one of two branches missed, one of two branches missed, consistently one of two branches missed. And that's because name equals empty string, that's always going to return false. This is always going to return false, 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 false. Okay, so we're just testing one of each of these two branches here. Now here, if we hover over this triangle for NER null, it says 4 of 8 branches are missed. That's because on NER invalid, we put each of those conditions on one line. Okay, each of the conditions separated by ORs. I mean, if we move this to multiple lines, let's go ahead and rerun this. And we're going to save that. Okay. Now we can see that it says 1 of 2 branches are missed. Okay. And that's the true branches are all being missed there. So we're going to fix that a little bit later. We've got a toString method here that is not being tested. We haven't written a test case for toString. We've got a hashcode method that is not being tested. We have not written a test case for hashcode. We've got an equals method that is not tested at all. And you can see within that equal method, we've got a lot of conditions. So we've got a lot of branching in that equal method. And if we hover over these diamonds, we say all 2 branches are missed. Okay. And then finally, we've got the compare to method. And same thing here. None of this is tested, and it does have conditions that say all 2 branches are missed. Okay, so let's go ahead and start writing some test cases for this class.